to the TRC of Liberia is the truth, nothing but the whole truth. So help me God.
Please be seated.
Good morning, Honorable Bernard. I'm Commissioner Pearl Brown Bull, Oversight Commission for Montserrat County, and Chair for the Historical Review. I'm sitting in until the Chairman, Jerome Verdier, is not here. So by virtue of my position conferred upon me by the TRC, I want to say good morning and thank you for accepting to participate in the TRC truth-telling process. We are now for contemporary history, and that is from 1979 to 2003. However, the mandated TRC Act gives the TRC the right to go before 1979. We would like for you to please, just before your commencement of your statement, we would like to introduce the commissioners present. We have Sheikh Kafuma Kone. He's in charge of religious affairs, institutional reform, and in fact, right now, right after you, we will continue with that. We have Commissioner Umu Sila. She's oversight for Grand Jida and also children and vulnerable. We have Ambassador Commissioner Gerald Coleman. He has oversight for Lofa County as well as economic crimes. We would just like for you to please give us any information about yourself, like where were you born, and then continuing to the process, and then working in government, where did you serve? And anything that can contribute to the truth-telling, what you know with your knowledge and involvement. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner Bull. First of all, I'd like to express my thanks and appreciation to the Commission for having invited me to your hearing. Unfortunately, and much to my surprise and disappointment, I read an article in the New Democrat indicating that a certain list of persons had refused to appear. And that was the New Democrat of December 9, 2008. And according to the sources of the TRC, there were two separate and distinct groups. My name appeared in one of the groups, and but I'd like to set the record straight and make it very clear that I have at no time refused to appear before the TRC. The first letter I received, letter of invitation, didn't include any date or time, and so there was no response that was required from me. But albeit, I'm happy to be here to provide whatever information that you would require. Some of you might know me. I'm Estrada J. Bernard. I was born on Randall and Benson Street to Mozart J. Bernard and C. Dolly Bernard. I attended schooled in Liberia and finished St. Patrick's High School. Went on to the United States, where I undertook higher studies, attended college, went to American University Law School, graduated, and returned to Liberia in 1961. I was offered a job as legal counsel with the Treasury Department. It was during President Tubman's administration. And the Secretary of Treasury was Charles Sherman. I worked with the Department of Treasury for about 6 years. During those years, I drafted legislation initially establishing Liberia's membership with the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and etc. I got involved with the rescheduling of the government external debts at one time, working closely with the Secretary of Treasury, Charles Sherman, and International Monetary Fund representative. I worked in the Department of Treasury for about 6 years, and after which some changes were initiated by President Tubman, and I was transferred to the Department of Public Works at that time as legal counsel. After a period of time, Tubman died, and then President William Tolbert, the Vice President, became president. And when he became president, he adopted a policy that all legal counsel should be transferred to the Department of Justice. And I was transferred to the Department of Justice, where I served as Deputy Minister of Justice under Clarence Simpson, who was then Minister of Justice. And after Councilor Simpson was relieved, I served as Acting Minister of Justice. I served in that capacity for about 6 months or so, I think. I don't remember the time specific. And then a shuffle of the government officials took place. And I was transferred over to the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare as the minister. And it was during President Tolbert administration. I served there for a few years, and then after that, in another cabinet reshuffle, I was sent to the Ministry of Labor as the Minister of Labor, Youth and Sports. I served there until then in 1978, 79, when there was the rights riot and all of that, I was the Minister of Labor. My services with the government of Liberia came to a close in 1980, as of April 1980. I was serving then as the Minister of Labor, Youth and Sports. And the Lone Star football team was to participate in the West African Conference. And that game was scheduled for the week of April 11th in Accra, Ghana. And the team was ready to travel, and we were using President Tolbert's plane at the time. I had made up my mind before that I would not go to the game because the Lone Star team would not win and I would be exposed and whatnot. So anyway, I decided not to go. So on the afternoon that the plane was supposed to have taken off with the players, the late Emmanuel Red, who's worked with me as assistant minister in labor, youth and sports, called me from Spring Airfield and said, "Are you coming to the game?" I said, "Emmanuel, I'm not coming to the game." Emmanuel tried to persuade me to go to the game and gave me all the reasons why I should go to the game. He didn't convince me on the telephone. I said I was not going, and he said, okay. He left Spring Airfield and drove to my house. He said to me, "Chief, you gotta go, the boys will be disappointed." And I said, okay, that means let's go in the bathroom, take a shower, get ready. And then I got dressed. I took with me 2 suits, 2 swearing suits. And I left with Emmanuel Rea, got on the plane, and went to Ghana. That afternoon, about 3 o'clock, 3:30, we left Liberia. Midnight, April 11th, running into the wee hours of April 12th, all hell broke loose. A military coup d'etat had taken place. Tolbert was killed. People were arrested here, there, and yonder, and was incarcerated. From April 1980, I spent, after the coup, I did not even spend a night in Ghana. I left and went straight to the United States. I was in exile. I was in exile from 1980 through 2006. Never came back to Liberia, never thought about Liberia. I focused on one thing, and that was my family, my children. Because as you know, you people who were here, what happened? All properties of mine were destroyed. My funds in the bank in Liberia were transferred. I lost everything overnight. And had I been here in 1980, I would not be sitting here before you, as you well know. So in the whole process, you can see that I am a victim. I'm a victim. Notwithstanding, I tried to get my 2 children out of Liberia, and my wife became 3 states. And I had to make life all over. I had no money in a foreign account. And so we started with nothing. But we built on something because we knew how to work. And if you work and you are a good manager, you're bound to succeed. And my success today is because I'm a good worker and I'm a manager. So when you invite me here to talk about matters arising in 1979 through 2003, I wonder what can I say? I was not here. I was not here. I was not involved with Liberian politics, one way or the other. My focus was the maintenance of my family. I have nothing else to say. Whatever question you want to ask, you are free to do so at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mr. Bonard, for your explanation. And before proceeding, like I said, I was holding in for the chairman who had not arrived by virtue of having oversight for Master County and historical review. In the center is the chairman, Jerome Fordier. Mr. Chairman, you want me to continue? With his permission, I shall continue. To what you said, first of all, on behalf of the TRC, we would like to apologize for the misinformation of putting your name in the newspaper that you refused to appear when in fact you had not received a letter or invitation to appear. We know that because that is the administrative flaw of our administrative organ at the TRC. We also note, we see the letter here dated November 28, 2000, inviting you again to come on the 17th of December 2008. So 17, which is 2 days from now. And then they call you to come at this time. Thank you, just as you said, your manager. And from your explanation, you are true-born, Monrovia-born Liberian, and you responded. Just as you said, maybe though it was written, but people didn't know that you were out of the country. Those who wrote were from 1979, you were not here until now. However, that is very good for you to come, because by coming, you have put on record when you were here. Also, you put on record your involvement of service to this country. Many people may have only knew that you were Minister of Labor, but by your testimony today, you've shown that you work in the Ministry of Finance, Legal Counsel, you work at Justice Ministry, you even acted as Minister of Justice, you became also Minister of Health and Welfare. Those information, no better person could have given it and will be true than you serving as the best evidence. Now, we will turn the mic over to the respective commissioners who, if they have any questions on what you said or within their knowledge, they can ask you at this time. I will start with Reverend Coleman.
Testing. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Witness, for your brief but succinct presentation. I have 3 basic questions, but I just want a clarification before I start. Did you say that in 1980, when you left for Ghana for that football game, that right after the coup you left to go to America, or did you leave 82 or 81?
I am saying that in 1980, I went to Ghana with the football team. We arrived there on April 11th. April 11 into April 12, that's when we had the coup in Liberia. I left Ghana the very day, I think, but once I got the information of the coup and what was going on, I left Ghana because it was not safe for me, because all cabinet ministers had been arrested. They were put in jail, and those who were not arrested, and you did not have to be a cabinet minister, but people were just arrested at random because they look well dressed, they look educated, and for whatever other reasons there may be. From Ghana, I did not put my foot back in Liberia, knowing the consequences, and I went straight on to the United States, where I got my legal education.
Thank you. So when you went to America, did you claim political asylum, or were you
Yes.
already a citizen?
I claimed political asylum. I
Okay.
had to, because had I come back to Liberia, I would have been killed. That I know.
Okay.
When the football team returned to Liberia from Ghana, sometime subsequently, I think Minister Willis Knuckles, he was a deputy minister, he worked with me, and also Emmanuel Rare. The soldiers went on the plane looking for Minister Bernard, and they did not go there with a band to give me a serenade. So no, I had no intention of coming back here.
All right. So during your period in America, did you do anything that would relate to the future of Liberia, or your focus
I
was just
did
on you and your family?
absolutely nothing relating to the future of Liberia. I did well in the long stretch. You can say yes. What did I do? I educated my sons. I gave them comfort. I gave them all the support they needed. My focus was my family. My focus was to bounce back after everything had been taken from me overnight. That was my focus. Liberia was not my focus.
Thank you. Next, were you ever a member of the Truick Party, the ruling Truick Party?
When you return to Liberia those days, during Tubman time, it was a Truick Party government. You worked for the Truick Party government. And when you work for the Truick Party government, you are a Truick. Some might disagree, but there was no registration, issuance of card and all of that. So technically, yes, you can look at me as a Truick.
Okay. For example, did you ever hold a position in the party? Were you ever one of his standard bearers? Were you ever one of his heads in office of a region or a group or anything like that?
I was a cabinet minister during the Truick Party government, and that's the extent. Now, maybe the cabinet minister could have been classified as the executive of the Truick Party, but that's the extent. I was not secretary, treasurer, no officer of the Truick Party.
Okay. So you saw your allegiance to the party only as a means of keeping a job, not as someone who had real political concern.
When you say political concern, I'm not so sure what you mean.
Yeah, for example, I've worked with many companies, but I never joined any party, even though it was a Truick Party government during that time. But some people believe in the political realm, and they actually join parties and are part of it because they want to see a vision fulfilled and manifested through their political affiliation. So I was just wondering, were you, as a lawyer or someone trained more in the social science area and dealing with man, were you more concerned about the party, its vision, its structure, or were you just seeing the job as a means to an end and your party affiliation as an informal thing and not a real formal reality?
If I may, let me say that I'm not political. I'm a professional. My focus when I returned to Liberia was to work in the interest of the people, improve their standard of living, and improve the physical aspects of Liberia. During my years in the Ministry of Finance as well as in Public Works, I got involved with the workings of the PUA, Public Utilities Authority was called at that time. And what did we do? We looked at ways of providing electricity to the people in Liberia. So I, along with Clarence Simpson and Taylor Major, I went to the United States on several missions with Taylor Major, and we looked at the possibility of establishing electricity in Liberia. We got involved with the Mount Coffee Hydroelectric Project, and we got the financing with Export-Import Bank, and we provided lights to the people. We also looked at the water system. We provided water and sewer system. Everything was moving. We improved the lives of the people. Yes, it was a true party government, or true party. Yeah, it was a true party government of the true party. And so the true party, working for the government, yes, I participated with the true party. And therefore we tried to improve the lives of Liberian people. It may not be all that we wanted to do, or what you had expected, but within the meaning of the resources that we have, we extended the services. So I wish I answered your question.
It's very interesting, very good. Another concern as I go to my second question, when you came back to Liberia during that time, you were a trained American lawyer, in the sense that you had this understanding of the issues of human rights and international laws, and you saw the spirit of how the world was moving, especially after World War II, from the monarchic type system and dictatorship control into a more world of balanced, humane order, respect for human rights, etc. I was wondering, how did you feel about the environment you were working and living in Liberia during that particular time in history, with the background and understanding that you would have obviously had as a trained lawyer, and the situation of Liberia, number one, a one-party system that people felt may not have been catering to the needs of the indigenous people, and therefore being a little bit biased. I mean, did you notice any of these, first of all? And if you did, what was your thinking about it? Did you feel that it would be something that would gradually work its way out? Or, could you share some light on that aspect, if you don't mind?
Commissioner, no society is perfect. No society is perfect. Yes, I came to Liberia, and of course, we saw some things that should be changed. And changes were being done gradually. But maybe, and just maybe, it was not at the pace that people wanted, but changes were coming about. And if you look over the years, you can see the changes developing from one administration to the other.
Okay, could you share with me what were some of the things you noticed that needed to be changed when you did come back? Was 2 or 3 examples of things that you noticed?
I think that one had to be very careful in expressing his his opinion that was contrary to the popular opinion. And it had to be masterfully done. Also, what other changes? I was wondering about the living conditions of the people. And that's where President Tolbert came in during his administration of improving the standard of living of the people. He developed the slogan from mat to mattresses. He developed another slogan of total involvement for the development of the country. And he was concerned about farmers having the products or having planted the gardens, etc., but they have no means of getting it to the market. And so we embarked the farm to market roads. We improved the roads condition. So these are all things of development that took place over the years.
So you're saying, in essence, that during the time of Todman, it was difficult for one to just freely express their views, even if they noticed the need for change. But Tolbert sort of opened that gap up and allowed a more open or transparent system where one could feel that they were part of a changing system. That's the feeling I'm getting from the statement you just made.
I am saying that President Tolbert encouraged dialogue. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Anyway, that during Tubman's reign, that people were stifled in the sense that even though they saw the need for change, they couldn't freely express themselves as they wanted to, even with their professional knowledge and understanding of the right that needed to be done? Or was it not like this?
Well, I didn't do a survey, but anyway,
You, of course.
I freely expressed myself with Mr. Tubman, and I didn't have any consequences.
Well, then, since you did see those needs for changes, you were able to meet Tubman with those needs at any given time, since you served in 4 or 5 ministerial positions, and he was willingly open to provide such facilitation without any problems?
That was my impression.
Okay. Another area of concern, I noticed you served in a very interesting position of the finances of this country and debt management, etc. Because Liberia was known at one time as a nation with the highest growth rate in the world. With regards to our natural resources and economic growth rate, etc., we would have thought that the country would have gone beyond just one road going straight from one place to another, that it would have been able to catalyze and expand and grow and progress. So what could you say about what hindered that from happening? Why didn't we take off like Japan, like Korea? You see these countries, they started off poverty-stricken, hopeless, with very little, just as we did, but something ticks and it catalyzes and grows and develops. But with us, it became self-destructive instead of progressively growing and developing. So could you shed some light on what you thought could have been the cause of this kind of situation for Liberia's history?
Well, in my statement, I indicated to the commission that I'm a trained lawyer. I'm not an economist.
I understand.
I'm not a banker. I'm not a finance man. I'm a lawyer. And my role in the Ministry of Justice, in the Ministry of Finance, or Department of Finance at the time, was to review the legal documents. And that's where my perimeter was. Getting into why Liberia did not advance as fast as Japan or what other country, I'm not qualified to give you that kind of information.
So you don't have any opinions on that even?
No, I have no opinion.
All right, thank you. Another point then, we noticed Liberia's debt portfolio prior to this war was about almost $0.7 billion. I was wondering, during the time you worked with Liberian government in 61, because this was an estimated 79, what do you think was the debt portfolio at that time when you started, 60s and the 60s? Do you have any remembrance since you had to work with these figures and these agreements?
You actually mean to go back almost 40 years.
Okay, it's difficult.
I prefer not to do that. I cannot be specific at this time.
Well, could we say in essence that most of that 0.7 could have come during that period from the 60s, 70s as we were getting involved in power plants, road construction, water and sewers, etc.?
I prefer not to make a comment because you hold me to what I mentioned to you.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much then.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for your presentation. So you left Liberia in 1980 and went to Ghana.
I didn't hear you.
Traveled to go to Ghana for the game between Lone Star and a friendly country. Is that correct?
Yes, Liberia was participating in the West African Cup competition.
So when did you return? And then you extended your trip after Tolbert was overthrown to the United States. When did you came back to Liberia?
The first time I came back to Liberia, was during Doe's administration, Samuel Doe administration. And I came back because of a very unpleasant time in my life. My father had died, and I came to bury my father. I left Liberia within 7 days. I don't think I was here for more than 7 days. I went back to the United States. To be honest with you, and don't hold it against me, between the years 1979 or 80 to 2006, I think it was, there was a complete disconnect that I had with Liberia. Complete, absolutely. I was disconnected. You wonder why, I'm sure.
Sure.
It is not pleasant to know that a man, after working for 20 odd years, loses everything overnight, unjustifiably. It's not pleasant to know that had you been in Liberia, you would have been killed, you would have been one on the poles on the beach. It is not pleasant to know that everything you worked for have been taken away, your buildings and all the funds that you worked for, earned in your life, not being in any other foreign country, but the country that of your birth, which you love, has been taken from your bank account and transferred to the central government for others to squander. I think constitute enough reason. I'm sorry to sound this way, but when I reflect, I am a victim.
Thank you very much, and so sorry for those experiences. I remember when you started your testimony, you said that former Councillor Red tried to talk to you to go to Ghana, and he later succeeded in you agreeing to go, and then follow what happened later. We thank God and we know that that was not your time and God still had you for the purpose. And may his soul rest in peace. I know he's not with us now.
Thank you. I must add that Emmanuel was my very good friend. He worked with us at the Ministry of Justice, and we sent him to Columbia University. He got his master's degree in law. He came back, and we had a wonderful friendship. When I went to labor, he came with me. And he was like a brother.
Thank you. And my next question is, you were not in the country from 1979 up to the time of the conflict. But before that time, you held several positions in government. During that time, did you foresee any problems in terms of disparity between the indigenous people and the two party government in terms of education, other social services? Did you foresee any problems? Or were there any voices advocating for change those days that you acknowledged?
You know, that question can be answered in so many ways, but I gave you my personal opinion. I find it very disturbing when we continue to dwell on the indigenous people and whatever else category we have. From my education, from my training, and as a Christian, I look at all Liberians as being one. Now, maybe I'm an exceptional person, but I do. There's no difference among us. And the sooner we dispel that divisiveness, the better a country like Liberia will be. I'm not so sure whether there is any clear-cut preferences, indigenous and whatever else category you want to put. Because if you look at the history of Liberia, you find full participation of the indigenous and whatever other class you see. Where there has been education and you have the capacity, you are not denied. I have not seen it now. Maybe I'm blind to it because of who I am, but I have not seen anyone being kept back because of this indigenous, they come from the indigenous population. I look at the situation where Liberians needed to improve themselves. Whether you come from the Bassa tribe, Gribble tribe, Bellet tribe, whatever tribe, and you you improve conditions of the people. We must stop, we have to stop this divide. That is bothersome and will go no place if we continue. Did I answer the question? Thank you.
Thank you very much. During the True Party-led government, during those years, the TWP government,
Yeah.
it was in existence for pretty close to 100 years. What was responsible for that?
What was responsible for that?
Yes.
You know, I don't know. I never wonder why the True Party government was in control all those years. Were there any other parties that came up? Madam Commissioner, I am not into, let me put it this way, I'm into working for Liberian people. And I'm a professional lawyer. And I look things as, on the whole, as from one Liberian to the other Liberian. Now, why the True Party was in control for so long? Maybe they had the money, maybe they had a good organization. And there could be many other reasons. But I never sat down to study to say, well, why the True Party was in power so long. The change came about. And so you had Doe there, you had Charles Taylor. So there you go.
Thank you very much, Honorable Bernard and Mr. Saru, for your personal experience.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry too, but you know, my hands are in the hands of the Lord.
Thank you very much, Honorable Bernard. And I want to join Commissioner Bull to apologize for placing your name on the list when it was written on the 28th of November to appear on the 17th of December, which is 2 days ahead. However, paragraph 3 of the letter addressed to you is crystal in its assertion that you have been invited because during the commission hearings, various testimonies by several witnesses identified the True Party and the establishment it presided over as the instrument of inequality and suppression of fundamental rights, thus suggesting that some combustible elements of the Liberian conflict may be traced to the True Party government. What can you say about that in response to such allegations? What can you say about that to the best of your knowledge
I thought that I had answered that, but I'll try again. I am not consciously aware because I have not really studied. All I am fully aware of that I have worked along with various groups to improve the living conditions of Liberians. I cannot come to this forum and provide you a list of various factors that contributed to what has resulted. I cannot do that.
Do you agree conscientiously that happenings in Liberia, particularly relative to this April 14 incident, April 12 coup, were precipitated as the result of the misrule of the Tory party?
I didn't follow that question. Could you ask that question again, please? I didn't hear.
I'm saying, can you or do you agree that our civil conflict or the changes, particularly the April 14 incidents and that of April 12 coup, are traceable to the misrule of the Tory party?
Well, reading the letter, the content of the letter, you wanted me to say to you what is my considered opinion of those events that led to the disturbances. Am I right?
We also understand that at a certain time of the Tory party's rule, you serve as Minister of Labor.
Yes.
If so, how long?
How long?
How long did you serve as Minister of Labor?
1.5 years, maximum 2 years, I think.
What can you point your fingers at has been the positive contributions you made to the improvement of labor services and labor law in Liberia within that 1.5 years?
You asked me to go back some almost 30 years and give you a review. I'll try. I looked at the relationship between workers and management, and I can say that during the LAMCO years, and I was Minister of Labor, I had a very good relationship with the labor unions. And a man who was president was one Mr. Key, K-I-E-H. My office was open to him at all times. He came to me and we discussed matters relating to the workers. I had a free dialogue with him. And when he brought to my attention some injustices that were being done, I called the management in and had a conversation. As Minister of Labor, we improved the living conditions of the workers. We established a good union management or workers management relationship. Potable water were provided, certain basic things were provided. We gradually improved their living conditions. Wages were increased from time to time. So these are some of the things that I did. And then more specific than that, that's what it is.
At the time you served as Minister of Labor, there was, and perhaps it still remains,
A what?
there was a provision in the labor law that the trade unionists, labor unions, and some even practitioner lawyers decried. It is a law that gives the company, the employers, the right to dismiss no matter how long you serve the labor law, the service, you work for the company, and that they should give you 1 month notice in lieu. As a practitioner, a trained and practitioner lawyer, what did you do to have such law corrected?
First, that law, to the best of my knowledge, was not carried out to its fullest during my administration. When a man works for a company for a number of years, they cannot be summarily dismissed without cause. What did I do? We did hold discussions with management, and as a matter of fact, if the law has not been changed by now, we were in the process of drafting a change when there was a change in government.
We understand you was Minister of Justice when the April 14, 1979 incident took place. But while preparation was going on for the prosecution?
No, I was not at the Ministry of Justice April 14, 1979. I was Minister of Labor, 1979.
Oh, okay.
Oliver Bright, if I remember correctly, was the Minister of Justice.
Oh, your brother? You were not the Minister of Justice at the time.
Certainly not.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Honorable Bernard, I want to say thank you very much for coming and answering the questions, giving information about yourself, and answering the respective questions from the commissioner. I was not aware of the content of the letter of November 28, which says that the commissioner heard testimonies who identified the two-week party as establishment for whatever the paragraph 3. By virtue of the fact that I serve as official of the two-week party with 1980, and this issue have come up according to paragraph 3 in this letter to you, which I had no knowledge of. Apparently, this is my first time seeing it. I would hereby recuse myself in a determination of any determination of the statements made and the findings on your testimony here today, because I don't want to show any sign of impropriety or conflict of interest. And I just sat here because the chairman is not present. And you see, he came and I think he left or he back there. So by virtue of me sitting here as Montserrat County Oversight and Historical Review, I was mandated by the, my fellow commissioners to preside. But that issue having come up, which I've heard, I want to say thank you very much for coming. And I shall not continue to ask any question. I shall not participate in the questioning in these matters. So you finally ended your hearings, and I want to say thank you very much for participating in the TRC process. And the record must show that I hereby recuse myself in a determination on this particular witness. Thank you very much. And you may leave.
I want to thank each and every one of the commissioners for having me here. I hope I have clarified the questions you had in your mind and the role I played. But it's a pleasure to be here, and I wish I could say I would like to come back. But thank you so much. I appreciate it.